Hi, this is David. We are continuing to work on this Java Spring Boot application that I've shown you over the last few videos. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do logging, how to implement logging in your application. Now, Spring Boot actually has a logging framework built into it. It's called Logback. You can use that, or you can add another one if you like. I prefer to just use what's built in unless there's some compelling reason not to. So that's what I'm going to use. I'll use Logback. And the way that I implement Logback is that somewhere in my application path, I'm going to put it in resources here. I'm going to add a file, and I will name that file logback-spring.xml. Right there. And as the name implies, it is in fact an XML file. And I'm going to grab this contents of this file right here and just paste it in. Let's take a look at this here. What I want is take a look right here. I have down here root, level, and underneath that an appender. And the appender refers to a reference of console. And here is my appender section up here with the name of console. So I say that I'm going to enable console logging. And the way that I'll do console logging is actually configured up in this section. And the important part here is this pattern, because when I log it out to the console, it has to know what information to log and how it's going to look. I have options about what color it's going to be, and this is, it says that it's going to be, this part, first part will be black, and then it'll have a date, and that's the format of the date, and then it'll have some highlight and the level of logging, and then the text, and it'll be different color, blue and yellow, then the message of it, and if there's an exception, it'll be information down here, and a carriage return line feed there, etc. So all that information is in here. Now that's a little bit cryptic, I understand that, but if you go out to the logback documentation here, logback.qos.ch/manual, then in here you can search and find the chapter on this logback formatting right here. So for example, the date formatting is right there. That tells us the date will come out in this format right here. Okay, so now we've enabled logging. Let me save that. Now in my code somewhere, I can add logging. Now notice that right here it said I'm logging everything at the root level, and I can specify different applications to different types of logging. But one important piece of information is that I want to log info. There are 5 levels of logging. They are trace, debug, info, warn, and error. And they are in that order. So info is the third one. It's in the middle, the third from the bottom. And saying level equals info means I want to log everything that's at level 3 and above. So I want to log all info messages, warn messages, and error messages. If I set this to trace, it would log everything. If I set it to warn, it would only log warn and error. It goes in order like that. So I can write code to log all these things and then turn on and off logging just by changing that setting in my config file. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go into this one method in my controller, and I'm going to, first at the top, I want to create a logger. And that logger will be created with this code right here. So private, it's of type logger, and you want to make sure that when you do this, select the logger at org.slf4j, which is kind of a standard logging format right here. There are other loggers you'll notice, but that's the one you want to use because that's the one that's created with this logger factory, which is also at org.sl4fj, and in the get logger method, I want to pass in a parameter of which class is this logging associated with. And that way it'll automatically log that information as well. Now once I have this logger, which I've named logger with a lowercase l, then I can use that. It has a bunch of methods like logger.trace. And here I can say things like, I've got a parameter called person name. I'll say person name plus trace, how about, is Tracy's mom. Little Fountains of Wayne reference there. And logger.debug don't bug person name, and logger dot info information please. How about that? Logger dot warning Dr. Smith. This is another this is what Lost in Space reference. Call person name. There we go. And what's the last one? Is logger.error. And logger.error, typically you would put this actually in a catch statement because it has an overloaded parameter. We can also pass in the exception. It'll log that as well. So logger.error, how about person name plus is exceptional. There we go. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 logger statements in here, but remember I only said I want to log info and above right here, level equals info. So it'll ignore these two and only log info, warn, and error. And let's just prove that. Let's run debug right here. I've got a breakpoint set on the first line of this method. So when it comes up, and if I click on console, you'll see a few of these info messages that are actually part of the framework are being logged. I didn't write those. They were being logged by Spring. And then if I come over to here, then I should be able to get, look at the routing here. It's GCast /greet/ some person's name. That'll be used as this variable here from person name. So let's do that. I did Satya last time. Let's do David right here. I hit my breakpoint, and person name is David. So when I log, then we'll bring up the console again, and you'll see that when I say log.trace, nothing happens because that's not, I haven't set it at that level. I say logger.debug, again nothing happens, but when I say logger.info, then I get an info, and it says information please right here. And I'll do it again for the logger.warn, and here we go. I get a warning, and you notice all this other stuff that's being logged, but the message is warning, 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 Dr. Smith called David, and then finally the last one is an error, and I get error, David is exception. Oh, that's so nice. And run through this. And so it becomes a simple matter if I wanted, for example, to change this and say, you know what, I don't really want to debug, see all that stuff. I just want to do a just the warnings and the errors. I could change this and restart this application right here. And then once it is up and running, let's do Norm in honor of my dad. And here, let's go ahead and just bring up the console, and you'll see that as I step through this, step, 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 only when I get to the warn, those things, the warn and the error are the only ones that are logged. And I'm getting this parameter right here. So in this video, I've shown you how to configure logging in a Spring Boot application using the default logback framework. I'll show you some other ways of logging in the next video. This is David. Thank you for watching.